If there's one piece almost every woman owns multiple pairs of and still struggles with, it's jeans. You buy a pair that looks perfect on the hanger, get it home, try it on in better light, and somehow it just doesn't move the way you expected it to. Maybe it gaps at the back, or the hem drags on the floor, or by 3 in the afternoon, you've unbuttoned the top button under your shirt more times than you'd like to admit. Today I'm going deep on denim, every angle, start to finish, so you walk away knowing exactly what to look for the next time you're shopping for jeans instead of guessing and hoping. We're covering 6 things: rise and waistband, fabric stretch and recovery, wash tone, leg cut, length, and how to style one great pair for completely different occasions. 6 angles on one category all the way through. Let's start from the waist and work our way down. First, let's talk about rise. The rise is simply where the waistband sits on your body, and it makes a bigger difference than almost anything else in how jeans feel and move throughout the day. A mid-rise sits close to the natural waist and tends to feel the most balanced for curvy bodies. It holds everything comfortably without digging in when you sit down, and it doesn't shift around when you reach or bend. A high rise can be wonderful too, especially if it comes up smoothly along the torso rather than cutting a hard line right at the widest point, and it pairs beautifully with a tucked top since it gives your whole torso a longer, cleaner line from waist to shoulder. What I'd steer you away from is a low rise that sits right at the hip bone. It tends to gap in the back the moment you sit down, and it rarely stays put through a full day of movement, which means you end up adjusting it constantly without even realizing you're doing it. I think of a client I'll call Marisol, who switched from her old low-rise pairs to a mid-rise a few years ago, and told me it was the first time in years she'd gone an entire day without once thinking about her waistband. That's honestly the goal. Jeans you forget you're wearing, not something you're constantly readjusting between errands. And here's a small trick for figuring out which rise actually works for you without guessing in a fitting room mirror. Sit down fully, lean forward slightly like you're tying a shoe, and notice whether the waistband stays put or starts to slip. If it holds its position through that movement, that's your rise. Second, fabric matters just as much as cut, maybe even more. This is where so many jeans either earn a permanent place in your closet or end up shoved in the back within a month. You want a denim with real stretch and, just as important, real recovery, meaning it stretches when you move and then bounces back to its original shape afterward instead of bagging out at the knees and seat by the end of the day. A blend with a small percentage of elastane, usually somewhere around 2 to 4% woven into a cotton base, tends to hit that sweet spot between structure and give. Pure rigid denim with zero stretch can look beautiful and architectural on the hanger, but it takes real effort to sit, drive, or move comfortably in, especially through a full workday. On the other end of the spectrum, an overly stretchy fabric with too much elastane can feel wonderful in the fitting room and then lose its shape within a handful of wears, leaving you with knees that look permanently bent even when you're standing straight. The way to test this before you buy is refreshingly simple. Sit down in the fitting room, stand back up, and watch how quickly the fabric settles back into place. If it snaps back within a second or two, that's real recovery. If it stays stretched and baggy, that's your answer. It also helps to run your hand across the fabric before you even try it on. A good stretch, denim has a slight give the moment you press into it with your palm, almost like a firm knit, while rigid denim feels stiff and flat no matter how you press. That 30-second check in the store saves you from a pair that looks perfect under fitting room lighting and then disappoints you by lunchtime. Third, let's talk wash tone, because this one genuinely changes the visual weight of an entire outfit more than most people expect. A darker, more saturated wash reads as more polished and pulls together effortlessly with almost anything you already own: a blazer for a work dinner, a simple tee for errands, a silky blouse for a date night. It's the closest thing denim has to a neutral. A medium wash with some natural fading feels a little more relaxed and everyday. And it's wonderful for weekend errands, a casual lunch, or anywhere you want to feel put together without looking like you tried too hard. A very light or heavily distressed wash can be fun and youthful and absolutely has its place, but it's worth knowing that fading and distressing draw more visual attention to wherever they happen to sit on the leg, so it's a style worth trying on in person rather than buying blind online. None of these washes are better or worse than the others. They're simply different tools for different moods and different days. Having one dark pair and one medium pair in your closet genuinely covers almost every occasion you'll need without any overlap or waste. And if you're only building your denim wardrobe one pair at a time, start with the dark wash, since it stretches across the widest range of settings, from a casual coffee run to a nicer dinner out. Fourth, leg cut, and this is the one most women ask me about more than anything else. The honest answer is that there isn't one universal winner. It depends entirely on what you want the outfit to communicate that day. A straight leg is close to foolproof. It skims the leg without clinging anywhere, falls in one clean vertical line from hip to ankle, and works with nearly every shoe you own, from a white sneaker to a pointed heel. A slight boot cut, with just a little flare starting from the knee down, tends to create beautiful balance if you want to soften the line from hip to ankle. It's genuinely one of my favorite cuts for exactly that reason, because it lengthens the leg visually without adding bulk anywhere. A wide leg has had a real style moment recently, and it can look incredibly elegant and modern, especially when paired with a slightly fitted top up top to keep the overall proportions balanced and intentional rather than swallowing the frame. And skinny jeans absolutely still have a place in a well-rounded closet. They're wonderful tucked under a longer tunic or paired with a knee-high boot in cooler months, but they do work best in a fabric with real stretch and recovery, which brings us right back to what we just covered a moment ago. If you're not sure which cut to reach for first, a simple way to decide is to think about what's happening on top. A fitted or tucked top pairs beautifully with a straighter or wider leg since the proportions balance each other out, while a looser, flowier top tends to look most polished with a slimmer leg underneath so the whole silhouette doesn't read as one shapeless block. It's less about any single best cut and more about how the top and bottom talk to each other. Fifth, length, and this gets overlooked constantly, even though it's honestly one of the easiest wins on this entire list. Jeans that pull at the ankle or stop at an awkward mid-calf point can throw off an entire outfit, no matter how perfect the rise and cut happen to be. Length is the detail that either finishes a look or quietly undoes it. The general rule of thumb is that the hem should just barely skim the top of your shoe, whether that's a sneaker, a flat, or a heel, so the leg line reads as continuous rather than interrupted. And since most of us wear more than one shoe height with the very same pair of jeans, having a go-to tailor hem, your favorite pairs in 2 different lengths, is honestly one of the single best styling investments you can make all year. A simple hem alteration, often under $10, can genuinely transform how an inexpensive pair of jeans looks and feels, sometimes more dramatically than buying an entirely new pair would. And if tailoring isn't in the budget right now, even a simple fold and press cuff can clean up a hem that's sitting slightly too long, giving you that same skimming line at the shoe without a single stitch. 6, and finally, let's talk about getting more mileage out of one great pair, because building an enormous denim wardrobe isn't necessary at all. 1 or 2 truly excellent pairs, styled differently, will take you further than a closet full of mediocre ones. For daytime, pair a mid-wash straight leg with a simple button-down shirt and clean sneakers for something easy, comfortable, and put together without any real effort. For an evening look, that exact same pair paired with a silky camisole, a tailored blazer, and a heeled sandal instantly reads more elevated and intentional. Same jeans, completely different mood. And for a relaxed weekend brunch, swap in a soft knit top and layer on a bit of gold jewelry for something that feels warm, easy, and effortlessly gathered together. The jeans themselves stay constant throughout all 3 looks. It's everything you build around them that shifts the entire feeling of the outfit. So here's how I'd bring all 6 of these together into one simple approach. Start with a mid-rise in a fabric with genuine stretch and recovery. Choose a straight leg or a slight boot cut in a wash that matches how you actually want to feel that day, and always get the length checked against the specific shoes you'll actually be wearing with them. Denim doesn't need to be complicated once you know exactly what you're looking for. And honestly, the right pair stops feeling like something you have to fight with all day and starts feeling like something you reach for without thinking twice. I'd love to know which of these 6 made the biggest difference for you, or which one are you going to check for yourself the next time you go shopping. Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this was genuinely helpful, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.